Hi, I'm Kieran Warren, and I'm speaking with Tom Magid, First Vice President at Merrill Lynch. Tom is also recognized as one of the top wealth management advisors within his company. Tom, please explain to us about your early career. How did you become a wealth management advisor?
Hi, Kearney. Yes, I've been with Merrill Lynch since 1978, but I was first licensed in the brokerage industry in 1970. And throughout the years, I actually had a sort of a passion for this business. And I started in the early years of 1978, a long time ago, over almost 37 years ago. And I worked my way through the knowledge and so on, and the building up of many, many clients, and literally hundreds of millions of dollars I manage. And it took a long time, and I put my clients as the first focus, and their growth and their goals and so on. And so that is how I became a wealth management advisor.
How has the profession changed over the course of your very successful career?
Well, in the beginning, a wealth management advisor was called a customer's man in the 50s, and then became a financial advisor, and then became a wealth management advisor. The industry has changed dramatically. Merrill Lynch in the early years was considered a competitor not of the other conventional brokerage firms, but rather we considered our primary competition Citibank. So up until 2001, there was a gradual decline in what's called the Glass-Steagall Act, which separated the investment banks from the commercial banks. And in the course of that development, as the commercial banks and investment banks, after the Great Depression, their functions were separated, and they were brought back together with the decline of the Glass-Steagall Act. So Merrill Lynch invented in the late 70s something called the cash management account, which actually allowed the investment banks now to do check writing, time deposits in the form of money market funds, investments, mutual funds, and so on, which brought them closer together, back together, as they were before 1929 with the commercial banks and the insurance companies. During the period of the 80s, Merrill Lynch, which was always the leader in the field, followed by the others in those days of Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and so on, not only invented the cash management account, but also promoted financial planning. And so that grew through the 80s. And in order to capture other assets from the standard commercial banks, we developed a number of other things. So the industry has changed dramatically, whereby now it is probably in the best interest of the young starting out broker to have a certified financial planning license and so on, and to have an understanding of certain accounting functions, even though we don't give accounting advice, and to have understanding of banking functions, even though we focus on our area of investments, and to understand a lot of the insurance products. We're all licensed in the insurance industry, although we focus primarily on the investment side of the account. So basically, the industry has changed in the fact that our knowledge is required now to encompass a lot of other fields.
And speaking about the new professionals coming into the industry, what are some of the personality traits and skills that someone should have when entering into the profession?
I think if you're going to become a retail financial advisor, you should bring to that the same thing you bring to anything that you want to do in life, which is a passion for that particular thing. In this particular business, which is deals with the public, you also have to bring a certain sales ability, a sensitivity to other people's interests and needs, a genuine interest in the client, a genuine interest in the people around you, which I think is very helpful. You also have to have a technical knowledge and skill of the products you're selling, their risks, advantages, liquidity, and so on, and how they fit the needs of the particular client. I call myself sometimes a tailor. I am fitting a suit, a financial suit, to a particular client. Everybody's an individual. Everybody requires their own individual tailoring. And we try to do that at the financial advisory level.
Please describe to us what a day in the life of a financial advisor is like.
A financial advisor comes in usually well before the market opens, which is 9:30. He should get in around, in my opinion, around 8 o'clock. And then he formulates his day about being proactive and reactive. He reacts to the events of the prior day in terms of making sure that his clients are on track with their goals and there's been no special event which has changed course for the clients. He becomes proactive during the course of most of the morning in terms of calling his clients, advising changes, speaking to them, finding out if there have been changes in their particular goals and their efforts and what they're trying to do. And then toward the end of the day, he becomes perhaps bogged down a little bit in paperwork and so on and trying to organize the events that have occurred that day.
Upon entering into the profession and getting hired, what is the training program like?
There's usually a 6-month formal training program which involves getting a number of licenses, of which the first one, and it's now a several-hour test, is the Series 7 license. You also are required by many of the large firms to have an insurance license, a Series 65 license, a Series 66 license, and the industry is controlled by the Financial Regulatory Agency known as FINRA, as well as the SEC. So all of these licenses have to be completed before you can sell a number of these various products. So there is a time period in that which is usually somewhere on the order of 6 months. In addition, to be successful in this business, a lot of the people now, the young people, are feeling that it's good to have a CFP, Certified Financial Planning License, as well as other advanced licenses that follow with your career and help you. A CRPC, Certified Retired Persons Counselor. So there are a number of licenses which you can take on your own after you have the basics, which allow you to sell after you've gained familiarity with the various products.
How long does it take to become a successful wealth management advisor?
This is a career which requires many years. Not only do you have to get to know the client base and the target client base that you're trying to appeal to, and that can be either a wealth management kind of base, it can be a specialty kind of thing. For example, you may want to appeal strictly to the athletes. You may want to appeal, if you're in certain parts of the country, whatever, to the actors and actresses. There are people that do that. There are ways to enter, for example, the football arena, to be approved by them so that you're allowed to even speak to the professional athletes. And that can take many, many years. Many years to know where you want to fit into the entire process. Many years to get to know the niche market you're trying to appeal to. And then eventually, you know you've sort of arrived when your business is no longer involving prospecting, it's really referral. So after a certain period of time, which can be 5, 10, 15, or 20 years, your business may become referral. My business is now 100% referral. And I do not really prospect new accounts. And not only that, I have a limit on how much I require because of what I know I'm going to devote in time to the client. You sometimes become involved with the client, not only in their investments, but in their entire family development. And that takes a long time. I have third-generation clients. I had one client family that actually I knew over 5 generations. I started out with the great-grandmother, then I went to the grandmother, then to the parents, then to the children, and then now to the grandchildren. So that can happen, and your clients become your friends. You spend a lot of time with them, and you want to know what kind of friends you want to have. So as you're developing this, it becomes not only a career, but almost a lifestyle. And it can take a long time for that.
And what advice can you give to a young professional who is entering into the profession?
All right. Well, there are many ways to enter into this profession. And it has become increasingly difficult to enter the way I entered, which was a sole practitioner in the 70s. The hurdles are very, very great for someone entering. So they have to bring passion, selling skills, and knowledge to the table. And the only way to get the knowledge is to really through a good training program that the large brokerage firms offer. The selling skills are innate and should be natural, and they will be detected at the time of the interview. The passion comes from actually having studied the industry, having your own feelings as to perhaps what stocks you want to buy or what strategy you want to use, or your general knowledge of economics. So that is also uncovered at the interview time. But today it's increasingly difficult to enter the industry, and most of the large firms are not willing to make the investment in an individual. So when you come to the table and ask for a job in the brokerage business, chances are you are also coming to join a team, because the industry now is full of teams and very few sole practitioners. And the hurdles are so large and so high that it's very difficult for an individual to gain traction on his own without the benefit of a team.
Thank you so much for speaking with us today. You've shared so much information with us.
Great. Thank you, Kearney.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.